All right, let's see what's going on here. You guys should be able to hear me, and you should be able to see my screen, so that looks good. What are we doing today? I just got done with, I had a bunch of college grading I had to do, and I had a bunch of stuff to kind of organize for the college, so I'm all done with that. I got a little bit of time here to kind of hang out with you guys and tell you guys about the course and prep the course a little bit for today before I have to run my college classes. Then I'll have a little bit of time, and then we'll do the actual courses for this afternoon. So, what are we doing here? We're just kind of prepping and doing some Linux. I've got all the Linux in the background here, so let me know if you guys need to talk about any of this stuff or work on any of it. I am going to be cleaning up the course actually starting right now. So let me go find the stuff that I need here and make sure that the courses are prepped like I need. So we're in Unit 3 today, and Unit 3 looks like this. Good. This is what the guys have put together. They've done some really good work. Let me go see if I can find the discussions for today. So discussion post 1 for this is scan the chapter here for keywords. Pull out, think you better understand how to triage an incident. Read the security operations here. And then that. Okay, so because of the way that that is done, I'm probably going to have to work. I'm going to probably have to do this myself here. Let's go see if I can find my worksheet. Yeah. Because I need the actual links for people. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm actually going to be dropping these directly into the Discord right now. Cygamma said, "Do I think that WSL2 in Windows is sufficient?" Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think you can do any, like if you guys are doing, let's say somebody's doing zero Linux. If you're doing zero Linux right now, like not you never even opened up a terminal, I think that is a great place to start because most of the stuff you need really involves just getting in there and doing some Linux, right? Like getting at a command prompt in some way. So I think that that's the first thing. When you get later on and you're trying to pull yourself into like a career, and you're going to get what is called diminishing returns on it, right? Like you're going to be trying to learn the networking of like a rel box, and you're still going to be over on WSL, and I don't know the networking of that, but I know it's different than rel, right? So it's like, yeah, just getting command line and doing your CD, PWD, LS, learning like how to move around inside of a Linux system, 100%. I think that that's a great way to start. And then after a while, you're going to kind of mature off and start to build your own environments and move into stuff that looks more like a professional way of doing things. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to jump over into our ProLUG environment. And over here, this is where we do the actual course. I'm actually going to say admin because I'm showing the difference between admin and the other courses, and then I'm going to hit enter here, and this is going to become the thread for where's the make thread button? Create thread, yeah, and then discuss. Boom. And then the other one here, the other topic is, go find Google blog AI, ask about high availability, and we're going to go grab this, and this will be admin. Boom. All right. So then in here we'll say create thread and discuss. So people that are interested in doing the Professional Linux Users Group course that's running right now, it's completely free down in our Discord. The discussions for Unit 3 are up. If you were not doing this and wanted to, you'd have to go catch up with the previous weeks as well down here in the ProLUG projects. So that's what I just did here. And that is, besides reviewing this, I want to review this a little bit. Everything's ready for the course for this week. In fact, let's go check it out here. Go back one. I'll go back over here. Back into Unit 3. Okay. Come down here. Here's the definitions of things that I think that you should study and at least have a knowledge of if you want to be in the operational space. Hey Vivana, how's it going? We are, I'm prepping. I did some college work a little while ago. I actually had hoped to get on about an hour ago, but I just got heads down on grading papers and cleaning up grade books for my students because we're in week 6 of 8 at the college, so I wanted to get that going. And I sent out my little alerts to students like, hey, there's 2 weeks left, and get in there, right? Get in there and work, because online courses are more motivational. Like I don't go in like I used to and just look students in the eyes and tell them do better work. Now I have to just kind of be a little motivational because people work how they work or whatever. On the YouTube side, Atticus Now, how's it going? Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. I am looking down here, making sure everything is as I need. So lab 3 deals a lot with storage. So we're going to go and we're going to do these labs. I know these labs work, but sometimes you have to go and wipe the disks to start, so that'll be good. We are using a system that has been used. These systems have disks in them that were sometimes configured before, so you might have to go check that. So we'll do that in the Linux Sysadmin course. So the Sysadmin course, as far as this all goes, is ready. I think this is all bonus too for people that want to dig in further. There's a lot of additional content that the guys have put in that I think is awesome. Ivana, you received a mail like that today? What type of mail? Like an email? I don't send out emails, just so you guys know about the course. So like you'll never get anything like that from me. But all in all, I think the Linux Sysadmin guide is good there. Obviously, they don't have Unit 3 ready because I haven't built it yet. So I got to go build Unit 3 stuff. I got to put together my questions and stuff. But generally speaking, this is what we're doing today. User access and system integration, and then integrating Linux with IAM, Identity and Access Management. So that's a big part of today's course. We will be doing stuff here that deals with PAM, the pluggable authentication modules. So I'm going to be pulling this up a little bit. PAM, yep. Make sure that PAM is set correctly. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to be updating the lab, and I had kind of went back and forth on this a little bit as kind of like an engineer. I was thinking that this week we would no longer really be down in the STIG viewer, but I think that I'm going to keep it like that because you're not going to get away from STIGs and STIGs or CIS benchmarks or some type of hardening standard if you're going to do security engineering in the Linux space. You're going to have to want, like, even if somebody wasn't requiring you to do it, I would still want to have a way to prove that, like, I took a box from 30% compliance to 90% compliance. I have a hardening standard I'm using. Because then if somebody comes and says, we got compromised, what could we have done better? You say, well, there's a lot of things we could have done better, but from like a hardening standpoint, we did these things. The things we could have done better is maybe monitoring. Maybe we could have been a little better about how we integrated this identity and access management stuff. Like those things could be better, but it's not to say like I did my part. It's to say like things were done. It wasn't just a cacophony of failures and a catastrophic breakdown of all things Linux, and that's how we got compromised. No, we did the right things, but somebody still managed to punch a hole in it, and that happens. Oh, Vivana, you got something similar from your uni professor? Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah, so it's hard. Like, I have a hard time balancing it as a college professor where I want to, I want to like cheer for my students, but I also want to be like, hey, this is subpar work for the industry. You need to figure out what you're doing, because at the end of the day, you guys know, like, I can't sit down and make anybody do anything, right? Like, if you just sit back in a college class and say, teach me, and I refuse to learn anything and read anything, well, what the fuck am I going to do? I can't make you do anything, right? So anyway, so that's that's that. Moop, how's it going? I'm just kind of hanging out right now. I'm updating some of the documentation for the courses that people, we're running these courses up in the Discord for free. Anybody can come in. I just added the admin stuff, and then I'm going to write the 2 blogs or the 2 discussions for the security portion, and that'll be popping up here shortly. Yeah, and then, anybody that wants to join and wants to do the courses, they are free. All you got to do is hop in Discord, go up to the top, look at your events, and say, oh, the Linux Sysadmin course starts at 3 p.m. today, and the security engineering course starts at 5 p.m. today. Now, that's going to be different in your time zone, guys, probably. So there's that. Also, I literally don't remember if I just said hi to you, Moop Moop. So I thought to say hi, and then I don't know if I did. But hey, how's it going? Again, we're just doing this. Writer's Room is coming up tomorrow. That got moved because one of our guys moved to a different time zone, different part of the world. So that got moved a little bit. There's a security engineering study group that's running. They had a really good time last night down there. And normally on Fridays I have date night with the wife. So this last Friday, yesterday, she's out of town. So I ended up running a interview thing so you guys could practice your interviews. But if you guys would like to run through that again as an exercise, just let me know and we'll set something else on there. CoreWire, do you work in Linux sysadmin for a university? Awesome, nice. The goal of this group, the goal of our organization, the Professional Linux Users Group, is to get people that are not doing this professionally. Maybe you're hobbyists or you just like hanging out and doing this, and get you guys to be professionals. But everybody's welcome. I like sysadmins that are doing it, because if you're around, you can help people out, and also you can take people and show them, what it takes to get in there, what the type of work looks like, and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, Augustus, we've been busy, man. We've been staying busy, and honestly, I think I've told you guys this for a long time. This isn't supposed to be the Scott show, like Twitch and YouTube. This is me just sitting out here and telling you guys, hey, there's a group out there. But the group is really, taking off. Like Cold Kiss is running stuff. It's super funny that every time I say the name Cold Kiss, this thing thinks I'm saying Cold Kisses. So we just roll with it. He's Cold Kisses now. And there you go. Here's the Discord for people that need it on the Twitch side. Here's the Discord on the YouTube side. It's free, man. Like I tell you guys all the time, there's only a couple things that cost anything, and you have to look around for those. Everything else, everything in the Discord's free, right? Especially the good advice that you get from other people, because there's a good amount of people in there actually working on stuff and actively trying to make things better for people. So if you hop in there, there's the beginner start here section, and then there's the ProLUG projects, which is where we actually run the course out of. How's it going, Hayes? Hayes, you've been around long enough this weekend to know that the wife's out of town, so I've got a lot more time to kind of hang out on here. I have, for you guys that are not around as much, actually I forgot where I was going with that, but, the other thing too, it's going to be like almost 100 in Phoenix again today, so that's terrible. Phoenix is hot. So let's update this a little bit while I'm kind of sitting here. I'm going to grab the Unit 3. This is me updating the Unit 3 to Identity and Access Management. And by the way, if it's not surprising to some of you, it's probably not surprising to some of you that I'm very behind as always. Like, I'm always working on stuff, but I never get stuff done nearly as fast as I need to. All right, so this is where we're going to update to our discussion Unit 3, and we're going to update this stuff to be the stuff for this week. So let me also open this up. Security Engineering 3 is going to be Unit 3. Let's change the date to today, which is the 12th. That'll be the official date that we ran it. And then we'll come in here, and I don't have any announcements. Okay, we'll get in there and we'll clean that up here as well. All right, let me get that out of the way. So we're going to clean this stuff up. We're going to add to the courses, and we're going to do all these kind of things. How's it going, Stephen Vetts? Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Or is that... I apologize. That might be Stephanie Vetts now that I think about it. I have a brother named Steve, so... it's probably Stephen Vetts still. But anyways, either way, thanks for coming by. I think it's too early in the morning for me still, so I apologize if I'm like trashing people's names. Hayes, I'll tell you what, man, I've lived in Phoenix most of my life. The only times that I wasn't in Phoenix, I was in, Georgia, I guess, for the infantry training. Colorado Springs, which was kind of nice in the summers. And then I spent a summer in Iraq, which was not a great place either. But I'll still take, being home in Phoenix is better. But the summers out here are just brutal. So, Highly recommend season 1 of Severance. I haven't. You know what? I haven't had a time to watch a show. I think the most recent show me and the wife have been watching is we did all of Solo Leveling. The hottest I ever saw Iraq in the shade was 138. It was 138 in the shade. That's the hottest I ever saw it. We had a little temperature. We had a little thermometer outside on the wall, or whatever. That place was pretty brutal. But I mean, at least living in Phoenix, my young life got helped me prepare for it a little bit, I guess. Will, I like that. Who needs to bother with identity and access management in Linux? Let's just use single user systems. Absolutely. So this week's outline, or this week's course, is going to deal with it's going to be dealing with pluggable authentication modules. So PAM. So what is pluggable authentication modules? We can have let me see. I'm just looking at the ones that I know of here. And we're just looking at what's kind of going on in our... These are the STIGs for PAM. And we're going to be using this for part of the stuff. That'll be good. If we set up SSSD today, which we should, that'll be a good start. We could also say PAM modules are important to know, but that's fine. This one is not, so it's not spam. That's not relevant, but all these other ones are PAM. So we have 16 PAM modules, right? Or PAM STIGs that are defined right here. But before we get into PAM, I'm going to start right here and say... Right, we know that there's 16. You'll see a 17th one, but that's because spam is included. But if you filter, there are 16 STIGs that involve PAM for L9. So I'm going to say use, find a blog, or find a blog or discussion post online. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I think there's a really good one, because you know who does really good of these is CIQ. Let's see if they have PAM for CIQ. CIQ PAM in Rocky Linux. Yeah. Sometimes they have a really good write-up here about how anything works, but in this case, this will be a good guide here. So read the guide from Rocky Linux here, right? And then I always ask the questions. So the questions involve, what are we looking at here? And the most important thing, I think, when you're really working in PAM is these mechanisms, right? What are the mechanisms? And how do they affect PAM functionality, right? And then maybe another one here that we'll do is we'll say this is what's going to happen. So good information down here. I think this is good information for this. Um, global authentication, and then test passwords. Yep, yep, yep. I think this will be good. What are the common PAM modules? How you let's leave that for a second. Let's do this. Co-wire, don't give much time either, just an episode here and there on Crunchyroll. Yeah. I watch a fair amount of Crunchyroll when the wife's not around. But when she is around, she actually has a few that she'll watch with me. She's watched most of Black Clover with me. I loved Hunter x Hunter, but then when I watched it with the wife, I realized a major problem that you don't see if you're just a single dude watching it. So the problem with Hunter x Hunter is they really do spend like 60 episodes on the Chimera ants. And I remember my wife looking at me one point and going, how much longer do they have? And I'm like, you know, I didn't realize it when I watched it myself because I kind of liked it. And she liked it too, don't get me wrong, but like they really did go hard on those damn Chimera ants for no reason. I don't know if any of you guys ever watched Hunter X, but it was, man, it was a great show, but there was some stuff. So there were some problems with what was great on it. So what's that? Yeah, I did love Hunter x Hunter. I thought it had so much more that could have done. It's interesting when you watch like how anime can be like a flash in a pan, or if it becomes like, you know, like an legacy type show. It's kind of interesting, like, you know. And I've been watching it since, you know, I've been watching stuff since I was a kid, man. We had Dragon Ball Z when I was a kid. We had Dragon Ball on cartoons. You know, Dragon Ball used to come on Sunday afternoons when I was a kid in the 80s. 80s and early 90s, I guess. Whatever version of Dragon Ball it was back then, probably just the generic one. But anyways, all right, so we're looking at this. I really think this is a good write-up of how this is going to work. But let's go then and say in the lab, right? So here's our lab environment. Go jump over, and since this is for the security course, we'll be in the Hammer machines. And the Hammer machines I've kind of hardened more than others. But cd to etc pam.d, and then in here, so compare. We'll just say the whole thing, which would be cat etc pam.d, and then sshd. You know, look at that. So look at. Well, we could just say review that on a Linux system. How does what is happening in file? And we'll say, damn it, we'll say relative to these functionalities. Right. So what is it going there? And then a big part of this too, and this is one that I think is going to be fun if anybody finds it. There is one of our guys. So look for article about Pam that teaches you, for both of the teachers that discusses real. There's no actual points in the course, so bonus points is just me. Bonus arbitrary points if you find one of our ProLUG members' blog on the subject. One of our One of our ProLUG members, one of the guys who some of you guys know, some of you guys have heard him speak many times. I'm not going to give his name away. One of our guys is kind of, I don't want to say like a de facto expert, but he's a Red Hat architect, first off. But he has a blog that is one of the top ones that'll come up if you look up Pam online. So if you find his blog and post that, that would make me happy. So yeah, who doesn't love bonus points, even if they're arbitrary points? But look for a blog post to discuss real world application. Post it here and give us a quick synopsis. Right, just do like a quick write up, and then bonus arbitrary points if you find one of our ProLUG members. I actually don't even want to go look up Pam, because if I look up Pam blogs, I'm pretty sure he's one of the top guys. So actually, I know he is. Last time I checked, and just because there's not a lot of people that have posted about it, and he's got a few that are really, really good. So they explain, because pluggable authentication modules are not just for an application that's established like SSHD. If you wrote your own application and you wanted to authenticate against Linux in the system, you absolutely can use the pluggable authentication modules for your tool. That's the whole point of them. So you absolutely can authenticate using an application of any point, but your application can't read. I've showed this last night, but you can't go and check things yourself. Nobody has access. No application can read shadow. The pluggable authentication modules have to do it for you. So this is why you have to understand this, is because, especially like if somebody was telling me they were doing app dev, you would definitely, in Linux, you definitely have to understand this, because this is how you authenticate, right? No application goes and does its own authentication on a Linux box, not against the Linux system. That's all done through pluggable authentication modules. So you learn how to play the game, you learn how to reference it, you learn how to write your own little files here, which will be not the focus of this week, but it'll be something that I want people to understand at a high level. All right. So that'll be discussion post 1 right there. And I'll go drop this in the Discord. So people that are getting ready for this week, ProLUG projects, this will be security, and this will be 1. Let me go make sure that's how I've been calling them. Yeah, security unit 3, discussion post 1. There are 16 stigs. All right. Now I'm going to call that a thread and say discuss. Boom. So there's the security engineering unit 3 discussion post 1. That's up now. I'm also going to save this over here so I have it. And then now I got to go make part 2. So part 2 is going to be the other thing that we're doing this week that's kind of important is, let's see, in this same little section on Rocky, let's see if we, I'm going to leave that open. Let's go to Rocky Linux and then SSSD. Let's see if they have a good little write-up on how this works. So this actually will be a good little way to look up how you can set up your Active Directory, and how you can realm join, which is going to be using SSSD. And you can then do this. Okay, so this is probably a pretty good write-up as a start to look at what's kind of going on in the system. So I will say that that'll be a good one for us for discussion post 2. Read about Active about Linux here, right? Oh, it's gonna bug me that that's just too wide for the thing. That's fine. That's fine. Shit. That just bugs me. That formatting just bugs me there. Maritaya said, "What's my local time?" I think my local time's UTC -7. But here's the thing. Here's the trick, guys. If you go to Discord, right, and you go up to the events, this will be in your local time. So if you're ever looking for this, it's your local time, guys. Use SSD most of the time, configured through Ansible. Yeah. That's the way to do things if you can, is have it automated and have it configured already. But if somebody's setting it up for the first time, there's always the little proclivities. The first time I set up SSSD was on CentOS 7. So before that, we used to use WinBind and Samba for everything. WinBind and Samba would still work, but you don't necessarily need them anymore because SSSD is so good, and then it can connect back to like IDM and stuff like that. But anyway, so yeah, this will be shown in your time, guys. If you set this up and you go and you go into the Discord, this will show your local time. Let me just say it like this: this is 6 hours from now. So if anybody's trying to do this course, it's in 6 hours. This is in 8 hours from now. So I will also the Linux Sysadmin course has all been recorded already. And the security engineering course I record tomorrow morning. So I will do it. Yep. All right. So so let's go look at this and say read about the LDAP, right? And let's go up here, prerequisites. They give a little bit about some company, and I think this is Linux via SSSD, because that is actually the protocol that they mention right here that they want to connect. And you need these packages. So one of the things that I might do, actually this would be a fun one, on a server like this. Let's see if we have all of those. So we might do something like this. Actually, let's just copy it here. And we might say clear, and then we drop that list right here. And let's see which ones I have built in already. So for package in, you can actually, if you guys don't do this, you can actually just write a script like this. Do rpm-qa grep for package, and then done, right? And oh, before we do that, we can actually say echo checking package. All right, whoops, what? Do echo what? Or package in that. Do echo check and back. No, that should be fine. For package in. Maybe I want to put. Oh yeah. Oh, there we go. That's my bad. Good looking out. That's a test, right? That's a test command. So that was my bad. I just want to see if any of these are on there, and they're not, right? So if they're not, then, maybe I should. Well, I wonder if I should build those into the, because I can get those in the Hammer system pretty quick if we wanted them. You know what? Maybe I'm gonna make you guys install them during the lab, so that'll be fine. But what we could do is, if they were installed, like let's just say I'm gonna install them. Just grab them all. You do them all like that. Boom. There we go. So we'll just install them real quick and then check it. And it says that it wants to put 25 megs on the system. Fine with me. That'll actually be a command that you guys will use in the lab. So let me go grab where's my notepad at? Go make a new notepad here, and lab stuff for today. Also, I scrolled that out a little bit, so that's not as big as normal. All right, lab stuff for today. Boom. They're going to need to install all of that, likely, on top of some other stuff that we're going to be doing. But now, if we were to just go check it real quick, we'd see that they're all here, right? And we'd see the versions. But the reason that we might want to do that is then to do like an RPM QI to like inspect, like what does the package tell me about itself? When I see it, I say realmd is a dbus system service which manages directory discovery and enrollment in realms and domains like Active Directory or IPA if we have an IPA server. The control center uses Realm D as a backend to join a domain simply and automatically configure things correctly for us. Right? That's cool. That's what it does. That's what the purpose of Realm D is in the whole big scheme of things, right? Hayes, you said your free AWS runs out next month. You got to start decommissioning resources. Nice. Some of you guys that were around when I first started streaming, when I had my 1 year free of AWS, I used to stand up the servers with Terraform locally. Like I would stand them up here, and then you guys could jump into them during the stream, and then after the stream I would tear them down. So you know how they give you 750 hours of like compute time on those small instances, and they expected you to use them as like one server being on all the time. I would turn on like 10, 15 servers for 6 hours on a Saturday, and then I'd turn them off. So we had like this big lab. Yeah, I did it all down in Terraform. I actually have it all still for people that ever need it. Root, Ansible. I think it's actually root stream. And then it's down here under code examples. And then Linux admin. And then it's down in here under the it used to be the AWS Ansible lab setup as one of them, and then we would go into roles, AWS Ansible setup, and then in here, this is how we would set it up to connect. And I used to use, I used to generate Vault credentials just for that day, just for that 10 minutes, in fact. Then we would go and we would build out with Terraform. I would call the stuff. I think it was called files in here, and then in Terraform lab main.tf, right? This was my deployer, and then I would actually just drop in, because like normally in AWS you don't have a user and you don't have a password, so I would turn on the ability to use a username and a password instead of just the other stuff, and then I would build them all out, and when I was done, this would populate back to our sandbox. So then if you were in our Discord, you would drop down in the sandbox channel and you would go, this is going to be way back, but Ansible in, fuck it, let's just go up. We'll just go up and find it. And it's been a long time since we did this, but I'm just going to show it to you guys anyways. And you say, why do you have the passwords in there? Well, because I was sharing the passwords out anyways, because it was password login. Hold on. Keep going up, keep going up. It's not too far back that we can't find it. Yeah, that was all of our, that's our reboots and stuff in the lab, and like notices and stuff. Let's keep going back. This is, we're back to August of 2024. It was well before this. Let's keep going back. Keep going back. That's before all this. This was people were playing games in Sandbox back then. Keep going. How far back in our Discord? It's even before all this. Hold on. Keep going back. We're in 2024 still, so it's well before all this. Yep. Still 2024? No, before all this. I want to say I stopped doing this in maybe 20... It was a while back. Oh, this was back when you guys were doing Code Wars. We had a bot that was pulling all the Code Wars stuff. Guys are always working on stuff. You can do whatever you want in the sandbox too. If you need an API for it or a thing, just let me know. Yeah, this was people playing Pokemon games. It's right before this. We're back in 2023 now, finally. Hold on, I'm almost there. Hold on. We're almost there. I think this is fun. It might not be as fun for some of you guys, but this is memory. Strolling down memory lane for me. Hold on. People played this stupid game for a long time in there. Hold on. So this is what it used to do. So here was the hook, and it said the ProLUG lab is live for the next 4 hours. Lab is designed specifically for running Ansible projects, deployed on 2022-11-23 at that time. And then this was the username, and the ProLUG is okay-ish lab. And then you would come in, and here's what the purpose of this lab was different than other ones. You could log into any of these 5 main nodes, and then your targets were back-ended here against, so this guy was supposed to hit these targets, this guy was supposed to hit these targets as far as in your playbooks, right? That's how I originally designed this. Now I had other labs earlier that I used to kick off that were just raw. It was just raw Linux for you guys, and that looked like this. ProLUG Lab is live for the next 4 hours, and then I would just kick off a bunch of servers, and then you could just go in and jump in and like Streamlab at whatever server name, and then you just needed to know the username and the password, and we would change it every time. Because normally EC2 instances only allow you to do SSH logins via keys, right? So I would open this for you guys, and then I would tear it down when I was done. So this was the way we used to do labs here. So people down, and this was down when we were in like the hundreds of people in Discord, not the thousands like we are now. Now we just do it through the through in the group. You just have to know the stuff. But anyways, all right, let's come back over here. So this would be one of the labs you might do, and then maybe tell people to do like an RPM QI on Realm, inspect the package details, something like that, and then maybe what is the SSH client? Boom, right? Like what is this thing doing? Provides libraries needed by PAM and NSS stacks to connect to the SSSD service. Sure. Or some of these other ones real quick. SSSD has all these other ones. Kerberos, right? You're probably using Kerberos in there. Meaning it's going and it's checking out the services or the token that it's going to use from Active Directory, and then it can use that to to present to other resources. Provides a Kerberos backend that the SSD utility can authenticate against the Kerberos server, and then you keep your little Kerberos ticket and then use that around inside of your network, right? All right. Anyways, I'm going a little far afield as I'm working on this, but that's the kind of stuff that we'll kind of be doing. So this is why do we not want to just use local authentication in Linux? All right. And then let's say they give some troubleshooting, and they talk about some other stuff like that. And one thing that we're not going to worry about that for this part, but let's go to, we'll leave that up. What other questions would we want to do? Oh, let's go look over here. SSSD. What are the default PAM modules that deal with SSSD? There are 4 SSSD STIGs. What do they entail? And why is it good? And what do they entail? What are they? Do they seek to do with the system? And does that bug anybody else that it went from A's to 1s? Let's see if we can fix that. I'm pretty sure we can, but I'm also wondering why. Oh, geez, that's annoying. That's better. All right. We'll call that good for 2. So I'm gonna go drop that in the Discord. That's gonna be the next ProLUG project here. Security, and then Unit 3 is gonna look like that. That's good enough. That's a good enough start for the discussions for people. Obviously, there'll be more involved as people find things and discuss things. Discussions always, it's interesting, guys. If you ever go through a college course, but even if you're not, if you just hang out with us and do our stuff, you'll find that discussions are meant to not just be like, hey, everybody's robotically answering the same way. People are going to see different things and they're going to answer different things, and then you have to respond to somebody. So then you're like, oh, that's not what I read, or that's different than what I understood. That helped clarify. Like, there's a lot of, it's like, for a lack of a better way to put it, I think that it's an apropos way to put it, to say iron sharpens iron, right? It's the idea that you're struggling to learn something, somebody else struggling to learn something. You guys make each other better as you go, if you want to think of it like that. Hayes, you're going to sign up for a new year with a different account. Fair enough. You get a good amount of AWS. You get a lot of stuff pretty free. The only things that you probably need for the 1 year account again would be like if you were doing EC2 instances, but eventually you'll move off. You'll go play with a tool like this, and you might never need an EC2 instance again. Hold on, let me find my page here. You go to serverless land, and once you go play in serverless land, you don't really need your EC2 instances anymore. At least I don't need them out there anymore. Well, plus I have enough work power. I have enough power in my home lab for most of the stuff that I want to do. But AD, LDAP, SSSD. Other things you might want to know is odd job. And what are some of these other ones that were up there? Hold on. Let's go here. KRB5. What's KRB5? What's it doing? What are some of these other ones here? ADCLI, Kerberos, Realm D. What's a Realm? Like, what does that mean? Like, in a system. And let's see, what else do we probably need for this week? We probably need down in here. Let me go clear this off and go back to PAM. Let's go look at other PAM topics that may be coming up. I don't care about, like, I'm not just gonna make people go look up like obscure things like PAM last login or something. I'm not necessarily that. Right. What is wheel? System. It's a system group. What is wheel? Why does it matter if you're using wheel? Because wheel's a common one in RHEL. Obviously, I can't just put wheel, or some smartass is going to be like, they're going to respond. They're going to send this back with invented in 34 BC or something, or 5,000 BC or something. I'm going to be like, facepalm. But I would have asked for it, right? That would be my fault. I'm just looking. This is just keyword type stuff that I'm kind of pulling right now to throw some other keyword stuff. That's probably fine for those as far as that goes. All right. Yeah, that'll be fine for that. Vivana said, "Are we submitting the labs 2 in the Linux admin course or only worksheet?" I would do both. I was telling the guys to do both. I guess in the Linux sysadmin course I had said that the labs were just for you, but I think it would be good because there's a lot of I have a lot of work, man. I make you guys do a whole lot of stuff in the security engineering course. Some of you guys that have actually done it are like, "Holy shit, this is literally 10 hours of work a week." But by doing that, I think you guys will get a lot out of it. And because of the nature of security, and what I mean by that is in the security engineering sense, you almost always, in fact, I would say 100% of the time, you have to report something out. So getting used to like doing a lab and then reporting what you hardened and how you secured your system is probably one of the best things I could force you to do, because if I don't force you to do that and I'm like, oh, no, 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 it's cool, you're just going to do it on your own systems and nobody's going to ever ask you, I'd be lying to you. I'd be 100% setting you up for failure, because then you guys would go into the industry and you'd be like, oh yeah, Scott told me that all I ever have to do is secure my systems and then just pat myself on the back and everybody's going to be happy. No, it goes all the way up to the CISO of the company, how secured your systems are and how locked down you make things. Like, this is something that gets reported on. I said CISO, it's CISO, Chief Information Security Officer. This thing thought I said seesaw and seaside. Fuck. It's really funny watching this thing. Like, sometimes I'll look down at the closed captioning and I'll be like, oh my God. I can't believe the things this thing. One of the things I was talking about one time is how in government systems you always need to have somebody to blame. You always have to be able to send something out. And I called it a neck to ring. There you go. WRING. And it thought I said nectar ring. Like a nectar ring. That's so stupid. Oh, man. Anyways, it amuses me. It might not amuse you guys nearly as much, but... All right. Notes, lectures during class. I think all of these things are important. I will update these ones, though, to be for the... So these ones that keep popping up in the worksheets, they're just extra stuff to go look at. And the information security policies are in case you don't have information security policies in your organization, you should start making them. And the cheat sheets are if you're not doing, if you haven't been doing procedural docs, you should learn how to do those. Yeah, Jones, that's exactly right. That's 100% right. Yeah, if you're building stuff, you're hardening it in an organization nowadays. There's no like, oh, we didn't harden that one server. You're not putting it on the network then, that's for sure. Right? Like they're not like, there's no way around this stuff, guys. This is the way of things. Now, and one other thing I've been trying to emphasize too in the course is this is not the end all be all. We don't just lock down a server and then go, haha, we've locked down a server. This thing will never be compromised. No, that's one part of it. That's like walking around my house, before bedtime. If I didn't have Ranger down there as a vicious active guard dog, right? No, Ranger's actually up. Normally he's sleeping. I would walk around the whole house and lock all the doors and all the windows. Well, if I lock all the doors and all the windows, that's cool. But if somebody really wants to get in the house, a door's only going to keep an honest person honest. Most people kick in a door or drive a battering ram through it or drive a car through it, right? Your windows are absolutely not a great security deterrent if you're talking about like the entirety of a night where you thought somebody was going to try to egress a system. Yeah, 100%. Like you literally just throw something through a window and jump right behind it, right? Like windows are, they're terrible security. But one of the first things you do is probably still close all your windows and lock them, because maybe the breaking of the window you would hear, and maybe we used to talk about how a lot of times thieves will just go through parking lots and try to open car doors, because it's easier to just find an unlocked car than it is to break into a car. Yeah, you can get a window break alarm. I have Ranger. Ranger will just bark once for me, I hope. I think nowadays Ranger would literally just sleep through an attack. He'd just be like, take what you want, guys. I've lived a good life. And because he does that sometimes. He'll just lay there and I'll be like, Ranger, go lay down in bed. And he'll be like, I've lived a good life. Just kill me where I lay. I don't care. Like, I'm not listening. Windows equals terrible security. That tracks. That's funny. Cold Kiss. We were just saying your name because Cool Kiss this time, not Cold Kiss. I was mentioning you earlier in that we have a fair amount of events coming up, and I was saying how some of the guys are running them, and this was always supposed to be a group where other people are doing stuff. So yeah, Cold Kiss, you're welcome to hang out. I'm just on a little bit before I got a college class to run, like a study group in a couple of hours, so I'm just cleaning up. I've got the security discussions out there, so now I've got to go update the if you guys have been around for some of this stuff, it typically goes that I just keep updating things as we talk. So I go over to my this, and for my discussions this week will be stick viewers are good, terms are good. This will be unit 3, identity. All right. Let's see if you can find. So this one will be. We'll leave that. Oh, I hate when that happens. So when you delete stuff in Word, Word always tries to help you out, but I don't want it to help me out. The questions you still have about the week. Okay, so we'll leave that, but let's go find these questions that I did. And it's like the first one is Pam, and the second one is LDAP. So this week. Sometimes I like to duplicate these and then say last week. And then this week will be Pam. And then this is SSSD and then the lab is identity. And access management. And then there's no optional lab, but I might be making a lab on it, so then I'll add that if we need. And then I have to update my overviews. We don't need this review, so we'll just hide this slide for now so it won't be in the presentation. And this is the third class meeting. Good enough. All right. Save that for now. Also, for people that are here, yeah, we're gonna do identity and access management this week. That's what the course calls for. That's what I wrote these out. Going, I know I gotta actually go and spend some time with some of this. So this is me setting up this. I actually have, to be fair, right? Like you guys are like, oh man, Scott's only like literally a few hours ahead. No, to be fair, I actually did write up a fair amount of stuff already. And what is the identity and access management? What are we doing? Yeah, verifying key. We're going to do some key stuff. And then setting up SSD to connect to. This might not be Keycloak. This might just be Open LDAP. But we do have Keycloak in the environment, so I can make Keycloak available for people as well. So, yeah, I crashed my bike. One of our guys. This is actually funny. I was putting this in the discussion here for the week. One of our guys is bonus arbitrary points if you find one of our ProLUG members who blogs on the subject. So one of our guys actually has quite a few blog posts on PAM. He's a Red Hat certified architect, which if you guys know, that means he's passed like 10 of their certs. I think it's actually 8 or 9 that you actually have to pass to get a certified architect, but he did that. That was one of his goals back in 2020 or so. Fun fact, too, if any of you do find him, he got a perfect score on his RHCSA and his RHCE. Perfect scores. He didn't get perfect scores on the other ones, he said, but he did get perfect scores on the first 2. The other ones, he's like, I didn't care as much. And I'm like, what's not perfect for you, like a 97? And he's like, yeah, something like that. But you guys can find him if you want. He comes and talks to the group pretty regularly, so some of you guys have worked with him that are around the group. Some of you guys might know who he is right off, but go look it up because he has a blog. He has a blog about PAM, and he hasn't updated in a while, but his stuff still pops up pretty high in Google searches. So over on YouTube, Natasha, how's it going? We are just hanging out. I'm prepping for the course this week. We're meeting up in a few hours on Discord, and this is kind of my process of putting this together. Typically, I try to get out a little earlier because then the guys go and they do a like emergency push and they put it up in here for Unit 3. But I'm always a little behind. So Keycloak is awesome. Keycloak is a great identity and access management provider. We're running it in the home lab here. I've got a Keycloak instance going. Where did I put him? I think it might be on Hammer 25. I just haven't, as long as we didn't kill him, yeah. Nope. Let's just do this. Huh, it's not him. Is it 24? I don't remember where I did it. But I was building it out just to have the steps. I also saved the steps, which is a big part of being me. I'm sure I saved the steps somewhere. Yeah, I had the steps saved that I had done. I don't know exactly where I put them. Some OpenSCAP stuff. All right. Anyways, yeah. Thanks for the follows, guys. If I've been missing your follows, I apologize. I try to keep up on follows, but mostly we're just hanging out here, and I am not working too hard. Right? I'm just kind of not even on stream right now. I just have my little penguin up, but it's just mainly because I don't want to move my green screen around right now. But we will we'll be later. We'll be hanging out and we'll be talking shop. And we meet in the Discord for these groups, for these meetings, and they are free, and they are here. You can find when they are. Again, this one is in about 6 hours, so it'll be right on your time, but it is about 6 hours from now. So there's that. Also, asked a question yesterday. This was kind of fun. I asked this question: how did you get into tech? And then I had you guys put either I planned it, went to college, got the award. Some of us did that. I still don't know. A lot of people did that. I came out through a related field, or I came in like maybe I was in, you know, doing something else, and then somebody was like, hey, you should do this, and then I moved over, that kind of stuff. Military, there's a few of us that were military, but I didn't learn tech in the military too much. I was an infantry guy. And then other, and then I said in here, go ahead and explain other, so you guys can put, you know, because I think people like explaining how they got in, and I think people like hearing how they got in, right? So people are like curious about it, and then how did you actually get in? One thing, it's interesting for me, like I planned it in that I was in the Army, and I was like, shit, I got to do something. So I went and I got a CCNA, right? I went and did Cisco and stuff like that. Sangara, you said, hold on, let me look at this question. You said, could I ask your take on concerns in the market, specifically in regards to Chris Curbs and Sentinel-1? I have no idea who Chris Curbs or Sentinel-1 are. Maybe I should know that, but I don't know who those people are. But if you're talking like the market and like the marketplace of being a Linux engineer or a systems engineer or any type of engineer, I think engineers are always in high demand. And I think that getting your skills in engineering are never going to be wasted. So, what do I mean by that? If you came down here, if you said, Scott, I want to get into tech, but I don't know what I want to do, and I said, hey, well, come here and go figure out how APIs work. Here's a free course with our little study guide. That'll get you some certs and teach you how APIs work. Here's some chaos engineering, which helps teach you the scientific method around site reliability engineering stuff. Here's some process engineering like Six Sigma. None of these things right here are directly tied to any one technology. They're just things that are valuable. And then IPv6 is, you know, IPv6 is always coming out. It's been coming out for the last 20 years as one day we're going to flip over, but no, we're still using both. I think these 5 things right here would pay dividends for anybody that learned them if you didn't know what you wanted to do yet in tech. You're just like, hey, I like hanging out. I don't know what I want to do yet. So where I'm going with that is I think engineering is always in high demand, and I think that even if a market is bad, people still need engineers. Like, people always need engineers and doctors. It's questionable whether or not they ever need lawyers, but I mean, I guess, like, we need lawyers, but I mean, like, as a society, we don't really need them. But like, people need them because of how stuff's set up, but I don't think we really need them. Engineering, I think you always need, because you need people to build the stuff, right? So I think that that's kind of a thing. Yeah, we're not flipping anytime soon. Well, I mean, like, Kubernetes is still IPv4, so I know most tech's going to stay on the IPv4. I know there's IPv6 abilities in it, but all right, all right, all right. So, anyways, but I try not to get like I try to deal with things a lot on stream that are like things that I know. I don't do a lot of like guessing or that kind of stuff. But I will tell you that I have never seen somebody invest in themselves as an engineer and not have good returns. I know people who don't even have college degrees that are infrastructure engineer sixes at college. In fact, one of my brothers is like that. If you asked him, he'd say, "Hey, I just learned this stuff in the wild. Like I just learned this stuff in the professional Linux users group." He's one of our original members, my younger brother, and he's an infrastructure engineer six at a company. That's the highest they go before they either have to make him a manager or an architect for more pay. Right? He does pretty well where he's at. So my point in saying all that is like just yeah, learn the stuff. I mean, we can't control. It's one of these things too. Like you can't control what you can't control. So focus on the things that you can, which is being the best and the most ready. So, all right. So, let's keep working on. This was just lab stuff that I was grabbing. I don't even know anymore. I was on Hammer 1 for that stuff. Yeah, it should still have. Man, where was I on for that box the other day? I'll find it. It doesn't matter that much, but so our lab. So here's the things that I got to do in the lab. Is I gotta update the exercises, right? Always updating exercises. Exercises are going to be more around. Whoops. I legitimately hate when it does that. Like I don't need that much help. Microsoft Office productivity tools that are not super productive. So let's say cat. Let's move this. I don't want to move this over because I'm going to need that space here in a second. Let's look at these. This will be interesting. So, can everyone read them? Yes. What information do you see in this? All right. Private clouds are all IPv4. Yeah, internally, yeah, you're mostly using IPv4 for sure. When I work backbone, IPv6 capable since. Yeah. I actually did a project when I graduated my bachelor's degree. My bachelor's degree was in 2006 from DeVry, and I did my project. My main project was changing over the Peoria Unified School District, which I worked at the time. That's Peoria. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Unified School District. I changed them over to all IPv6 internally. Now, we didn't actually do the work. We just planned it all against all the devices that we had, and we worked on what the ship. Because here's the thing, like flipping it over on the networking side isn't that big a deal. It's the getting all the devices. If things aren't dual honed, if you have, we had this tool back then. Still, I know they still exist out there, but what was the name of that? AS400. AS400 is not going to IPv6, right? Some people are still running AS400s, but we had this old system, and that was going to have to always be on its own network. Yeah. So it is easier, Jones, in that you don't have to flip over the. You don't have to actually subnet anymore, really. You don't have to do the manual subnetting process that most people struggle with. I still teach people subnetting too. I still teach it in college. I teach it on here sometimes. We could go over that sometime if people struggle. Probably not right now because I'm putting stuff together. But yeah. So Stig Viewer, you need that. Let's go look. Let's go update some of the stuff down here that I want to update. So let's get rid of that. That was me showing you guys connectivity yesterday. Let's go here. Let's look at for Pam. We're gonna do kind of the same thing in the labs. You need the pre-lab, so you need all that stuff like normal. You need that like normal, and then in the lab, we're not gonna do network service configuration. We're gonna change this. So this will be. Is that really? Really? Alright, screw it. Filter by Pam and see how many stigs you have. And then we're going to examine different stigs now, right? And the stigs that we're going to examine are going to be around the PAM modules, right? So I'm gonna this will be what I spend a little time doing, updating this part of the lab, and then down here on this other. So we'll do these, do a few of these. Then we'll come down here to, instead of firewall port exposure, this will be IAM. Sorry. This will be probably open LDAP setup, and we'll create a user. So, and then this will be SSSD configuration and realm D join of to LDAP, right? Those will be the two major steps that we do for this week. Yeah, I think those will be the main things that we do. Jonas said medical field also has a bunch of stuff that's IPv4 because no one wants to front the money. Yeah, I was working back in 2015 and 2016. I was working for a company called Caris Life Sciences. They were an awesome. It's CARIS. But anyways, they're still around. They do cancer research, and a lot of the lab machines were like woefully old. In fact, some of the lab machines. Man, I hate even saying this, but this was 2014, 2015. They still had WinXP on them. So Windows XP. By the way, if you guys don't know, Windows XP is like one of the greatest, just as a desktop for people that just wanted stuff to work. It was great. And then they went over like from there to like Windows 7, and that was a big old debacle. Windows in general is a debacle, right? But we have to give credit where it's due. XP was excellent. It was fantastic for what it did, right? As just like, man, it was years of bad stuff before that. If you guys were on any of the other stuff earlier, it was terrible. And then WinXP just worked. It was a workhorse, man. Yeah. So lab boxes were built on that, and that's all IPv4. In fact, there's some Navy stuff that's still on IPv or well, it's definitely on IPv4, but it's there's some Navy stuff still running XP. But here's the thing: if you're air gapped, you know, what are the actual problems? Yeah, well, I think XP was also a big deal because if you guys don't know, it was before that it was like Windows 2000, and then there was this debacle with a thing called Millennium Edition, and Millennium Edition was like one of the worst things ever made. It actually was only supported for 4 months before they pulled it, and also it was released early because one of the execs. This was actually one of the first examples I ever heard of somebody being hacked over a wireless network. This was one of the execs took a system home and had it on his home wireless network in like the late 90s, and it got hacked, and people released the source for like WinXE. Windows Millennium Edition ME. It was terrible, guys. It was absolutely just it was terrible. You can go look that up. That was a really interesting. Yeah, somebody sat outside that dude's house and downloaded stuff off of his network, and then took it and released it. So they ended up tossing that, and Millennium Edition was just by and large one of the worst things ever made. But WinXP, when it first came out, because I was still mostly doing Windows back then in the early 2000s, it was interesting fact. There were 4 million hours of engineering that went into that. Most operating systems are much higher than that now, but back then that was a lot. 4 million hours of engineering time in that. That was a huge, yeah. Yeah, I still use Win 10. I'm gonna have to go up to 11 one of these days. My home lab, I'm just not. My home desktop, I'm just not willing to leave gaming. And I know that there's a lot of good stuff. Like Steam has done a lot of porting into Linux. Their Steam Deck was a big part of why so many games work so well on Linux. But I'm also still not doing that. Guys, I ran Ubuntu all through college. I am a professional Linux engineer. I will go into Linux as I need. Most of you guys know that. And I work 100% at the command line like this, but I still have to sometimes do crap like this, and I sometimes have to answer emails. So I do use other operating systems. I would use Mac. I just have never used Mac. I had an iPhone for like 2 years for a company once, and I was like, it's fine. Like, so I have an Apple account somewhere out there with my name on it, but only for work stuff. All right, we need to then. I reticent to start this, but let's just do it. You got to just pull the Band-Aid off and do it right. Let's go look at this. So filter by PAM, and then see how many STIGs you see, and we'll grab this, boom, here. You guys probably can't see that because it stops being visible for a second. But there we go. All right. And then we're going to circle, filter PAM. Edit, copy. We're going to drop it right here. Delete this one. Right. But then, we got to make it a little smaller. Filter by PAM and see how many STIGs you have. Why is it only 16? Now I said earlier, and I said in the discussion that it was only 16, but why is that true? I'll show you guys this because it's true. Up here at the top, the first one is actually about spam. So that's kind of funny. Spam has nothing to do with the pluggable authentication module. This is just a mail relay thing. But it is actually important that you understand how mail relaying works. If you're going to run mail relay, you don't want to have an open relay where anybody can just send anything wherever they want through you. But that's not really germane to the conversation. So there's 16 because that one's not part of it. But I think people can find that. Why is it really... And I'll let you guys know in the class. Like, I'm not trying to trick anybody there. I want you guys to spend some time with that. Oh, Robodom posted the book. Yeah, the book's out there for people that want to dig into the lab work more. The lab work is stuff that's very specific around tasks and just getting better at the hands-on part of Linux. I'm a big fan of getting as much hands-on as you can. The courses that we do and this kind of stuff that I'm working on, this is more like how we interact as admins and engineers with the company, right? Which I think is also valuable for you guys to know because, again, like I can do Linux in my basement all my life and not really know how a company wants it. Like a company doesn't want to run 1,000 Linux boxes to run 1,000 Linux boxes. They want to run 1,000 Linux boxes to handle the 5,000, company workflows that they have that are going to make the company a bunch of money. And understanding that, it's that. Yeah, Robodom, that's different than, so this book here, this book right here, the Linux Sysadmin book that the guys are working on, this is just a free book that, is that the best? Hold on. I was going to say, where's the best start? This is probably the best start for this book. This book is free. This book is about the course, and that's what I was kind of saying, the just, how do we interact with Linux and an enterprise and all that kind of stuff. The book that you just linked is the only thing around that people can really pay for as far as Linux knowledge, and that deals with labs. That's just all doing hands-on labs and stuff, digging deeper, going and reading and stuff. I tell people do all the labs first before you ever buy the book because then you can spend a lot of time, I think, getting a lot of the knowledge before you ever figure out, maybe you don't want to do this stuff professionally, so you just look up, hey, this is okay, and then you never, yeah. Yeah, the Lean Pub book is more about just deep hands-on labs, right? And by the way, you don't even need the book. You can just go do the labs. The book is just more of like a journal. I think of it like a journal or like a guide to make you think about the stuff a little deeper. That's the only thing about that one, yeah. But yeah, we see HMod 777 in the Enterprise. Pretty sure there's actually some stigs about that. Um, but anyway, so another thing too, I really want to emphasize this is you guys see me like setting up the Stig viewer and emphasizing in the labs the Stigs and stuff. One of the things that we talk about in the actual group, you might watch this and say Scott's really all about just locking down the systems and the Stigs are the most important thing. They're not. Understanding how this stuff works is by far more valuable to you as a person, and knowing what Stigs are actually going to be like relevant to what we're talking about, that is much more valuable than just blindly turning on all the Stigs. Blindly turning on the Stigs is like, I mean, you can still get yourself in trouble there. Yeah. Where's the ProLUG course? Where's the ProLUG book at? Not the book, the page. Here's the page. One of the cool things about it, in case I haven't shown you guys this lately, is we can go and you can verify, like, here's me, and I get a link, and you can actually verify that you did the courses. So I can show people with either this link right here, or I can, for you guys that actually have the certificates, it's a QR code for you guys, because Treasure went and built all those. But we only assigned from the Linux Sysadmin course, the first run, we only actually, I think like 9 people passed it. I think it's 9 total that actually passed this, because there's so much work, man. There's literally 160 plus hours worth of work if you do everything. And you got to turn it in. And there's a big project, right? Oh, I got to mention the project too in the ProLUG security course. So I need to actually work on that. That's another thing I need to open up and work on, is our project, unit 3, go up 1. Where's the project at? I haven't talked about the project since the first week. So I actually need to do that this week again, because this final project is, now due in only 7 weeks. So that would be good to let people know about it. And I also want to I'm going to build a template outline for that too. Maybe I need to... Yeah, actually, here is part of the template right here. So there we go. Yeah, Colchis, it's basically just planning out what an organization would be doing for HIPAA compliance. And we picked HIPAA because that was a one that I'm actually doing with one of my customers. So I was like, screw it, I'm just going to make it about HIPAA. But you guys that are in the EU, I know some of you guys are EU or other places, and you guys can use GDPR. But I don't know GDPR as well. Yeah, the labs are still on Killer Coda. Yeah, too big. Yep. Yeah, they're free. I'm a big fan of, man, I tell people I'm a big fan of just getting your hands on this stuff every day. That would be my number one thing. In fact, first thing I was asked when I came on streaming today was, what do I think about WSL, like Windows Subsystem for Linux, for learning Linux? And I said, this is what I said. I said, if you're doing nothing, I think that's great. If you were doing Linux for 5 years already, I would tell you, maybe go focus on like RHEL or Rocky or things that are going to get you in the industry, even Ubuntu for that matter. Like, go focus on the technologies that are going to get you in. But if you've never like even opened up with a command prompt and typed in a CD or a PWD or an LS, I would 100% say yes, get in there, if that makes sense. So like, I know a lot of times you guys hear me say, for us hobbyists and people wanting to be professional, you'll hear me say, like Arch Linux is fine, but there's nobody running that professionally. So when you're trying to put Arch Linux on a resume, it doesn't help you any, right? Like, say, I would rather see somebody had worked in Linux for 5 years than I run Arch Linux and that's the only one I plan on running. And I'd be like, well, unfortunately, we run Red Hat here. So, if that makes sense, like if you're looking for work or you're looking to consult for people, you gotta meet them where they are, right? And they probably have a bunch of systems that just grew up over time, and then you're Your job is going to be to help them either get out of that or or make it work for them, right? This is the things we do, but you can't get out of stuff overnight. You got to work with what you got for now. So anyways, those are my thoughts. You know, it's funny you say that because I've built some Arch Linux in my time, and I might even have had Arch Linux in the home lab a few times. It's just, you know what I felt like? I'm not. By the way, guys, I'm not trashing Arch Linux. I think it's fine. I think it's a great. I think it gets a lot of. I think it gets a lot of people into Linux, which I think is actually great. But what I would say about it is this. That when I worked on it, I felt like I was a mechanic working on my own car all the time. I felt like, man, anytime I wanted to do something, I had to go do those 5 other things first to do this new thing. And it was like, yeah. Is it a desktop OS? It's one of those things too, like that's another thing about like with Linux. If you weren't doing any Linux and you were like, Scott, I want to run as a desktop OS, I'd say that's awesome. Like get into it, do it. But then if you say, but I want to support it for a company, I want to support desktop Linux for an operating system as a company, I would tell you, man, guys, I don't even know if you walked into Red Hat and you managed to be one of their desktop admins. Those guys all run Fedora on their desktop. And I know that because I probably know about 300 Red Hat engineers personally, right? And all those guys always had Fedora on their desktop. But guess what? They all managed their own desktop, so they didn't need a guy to do that. So anyways, where I'm going with that is 99.9% of other companies are going to do Windows desktops. So something to think about. How's it going, CP? We are just hanging out. I'm getting ready. I got about an hour and a half before I got to do some college stuff, so... I hopped on to I'm kind of just prepping course stuff. I'll still be prepping course stuff in the college because students probably won't show up. But if they do show up, I'll have to do that instead, and then that'll give me less time to work on the course. So I've just been kind of updating the courses as I go. I'm going to update these sections, and then I'm going to update the Open LDAP section where you build that out, and then when you configure and connect to it. So this is my last little thing to do for the week. Also, if you guys are doing the courses, I did put up the the discussions already. So the admin discussions for Unit 3 are up, and the security discussions for Unit 3 are up as well. So those are up there. Lord Process, you said you have Stig installed. Please, can I go through how to start Stigging later? Yeah, well, if you show up to the course, we'll be doing the Stig process. But also, there is a study group. They met last night, unfortunately, so some people missed them. But they're meeting so they'll get you all squared away. Where are they? I know they're here. Where are they? Was it just that one night? Oh, here it is. Here they are. Linux Security Engineering Study Group. So they're meeting. They have way more than one person, trust me. But they're meeting every Friday, so you can go to that and also get extra help with that. But I will, yeah, if I'm streaming later, which I plan on streaming after that because the wife's out of town, so it's, either me sitting around and, well, I guess I can go watch the fights with my buddies, but some of you guys know I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 22 years now, so I do have a good number of friends, and I guess I could just go watch the fights, but I'll probably just hang out and do more Linux stuff later. Probably prep for next week's course, so I'm not as far behind as I am this week. But it's funny. I kept looking every day and going, I got like 4 more days. I'll just wait until that. Yeah, aren't the fights tonight, Robodom? Pretty sure the fights are tonight. I don't really have like a horse in the race. I don't follow UFC like I did when I was younger. I said horse in the race. Is that not acceptable? Oh. It didn't catch me saying the word race earlier, apparently. But yeah, Robodom, UFC fights, hang out, talk trash with my buddies. I could go do that if I wanted to. Yeah, no, I get that too, Robodom. Yeah, I'll order them here. Like if people are coming over, I'll order them. I don't ever charge anybody. I just get them. But probably won't do that because, one, it's too late notice. If I was going to do that, I'd normally let people know a couple weeks out, and I'd get, normally when I do something like that, I have 20, 30 people over here, but I'm not going to do that with the wife out of town. Plus, Ranger's too excitable. Ranger will be like, hey, where's all the snacks at? And then he'll get tired and sad. Look at that dog. Look at him down there. Freaking Ranger. I gotta give him some meds later too. I haven't given him any meds the last couple days. He has pain meds because his back legs are hurting him. So yeah. But that's kind of what we're working on. That's what's hot in the streets. Every time I say that, I laugh. Do you guys know where that's from? Does anybody know? This is some old lore. This is before memes and stuff. Anybody know what I'm referencing when I say, "Oh, you're just gonna do your taxes"? That's what's hot in the streets right now. Anybody remember that? Hmm. My brother just sent me a picture of one of those little AI generated action figures and said that I need to have one of myself doing Linux and put it on my little sales site. I think that's kind of funny. Colchis, it's from the Dave Chappelle show. It's from the Dave Chappelle show with where he's making fun of Making the Band, which is making fun of Diddy when he did a show called Making the Band, which was absolutely terrible. And he used to come in all the time and threaten to close down the studio because people were always fighting in the studio. And what happened is in one of the episodes, he comes in and the one dude is just like everybody's ignoring him, and the one girl's doing her nails, and the one dude's doing his taxes. And he goes, "Oh, you're just gonna do your taxes? That's what's hot in the streets right now." It's so fucking stupid, but it's pretty good. And then he like lays back and just makes his security guards like carry him out. It was it was absolutely ridiculous. And he like tells him, "You want me to open the studio? I can do it." And it's like Dave Chappelle doing his P Diddy voice, and he's like, I can do it, but I'm gonna need you to go down and get me some fresh Cambodian breast milk." And it just, you're like, what the fuck, man? It's funny, yeah. Dave Chappelle was great. His show only ran 2 seasons, but it was and that was like that came out, that was like 04, 05 ish when that was coming out on Comedy Central, and that was like right after I got out of the army. That was like peak. Yeah, that was peak that stuff. Yeah, dude, he had so many other things besides that. That was great. The I'm Rick James, people still say that as they slap each other, but he had so many other things that were just like. There was an episode. So he in the first season, there was a guy called he was basically, we'll just call him Black Nostradamus, but you can go look up what he actually called him. And he came on and he said he told everybody white people like love Wayne Brady because he makes Malcolm X look like Bryant Gumbel. No, not Bryant Gumbel. He said Malcolm X look like somebody. Anyway, so then in the second season, he gets Wayne Brady on the show, and Wayne Brady is like, is Wayne Brady gonna have to like slap a bitch? And he's just like, it doesn't say slap. Okay. Anyways, he and he just is just completely out of control. And then at the end of that skit, which is just insane, at the end of that skit, there's a cop that comes up and he goes, "Oh, my grandmother's never going to believe that I met you." And he's like, "That's because he's not going to know, or she's not going to know." And he breaks the cop's neck and he just starts singing in the streets. And it's like the most ridiculous shit you've ever seen in your life. But that was early Dave Chappelle. I mean, again, he only did the show for the 2 years, but it was fantastic. And then it's funny when he came back, he's like, "Yeah, having to watch Key and Peele do my show." And I thought that was hilarious when he said that, because their show was funny, but their show was never like the Chappelle show, you know. But anyways, neither here nor there. I did think their stuff was funny, but not in the same way. So Definitely not nearly as quotable. Yeah, and the cop's like, I can't believe I met you. My grandma's never gonna. And he's like, your grandma's never gonna know. And then he just breaks her. He breaks the cop's neck, and he starts singing. He takes Dave Chappelle's sandwich, which is also pretty funny. Oh man, oh that's amusing to me. Um, anyways, that was one of my I wouldn't call that childhood because I was out of the army at that point, but that was definitely like my young adult years doing watching Dave Chappelle with my buddies. That was back. I mean, like TiVo was barely out back then, so you still had to catch the show. You still had to watch it when it was on or catch a rerun. We don't even know what. None of you guys even know what that means. I mean, obviously we got older people hanging out doing stuff that know what that means. But I'm saying like now, like I was thinking about this years ago. Like my son was trying to show me a YouTube video, and he's like, Dad, look, and then he like put it exactly to where he wanted me to see, and then he showed it to me, and I'm like, that is he's never gonna have to do like please be kind rewind. He's never gonna have to deal with that. He's never gonna like not know what it's like to just go exactly to where he wants in the video. Oh sure, he might have to watch like a 5-second ad or something when he does that, but he's never gonna have to like rush out and go to the bathroom and get back before the end of commercials like we did as kids. Like that's super funny. Hey, as I know you were around back then, and then even when TiVo first started coming on, like TiVo, and then you started getting like your DVRs on your cable, and then you could just like DVR stuff and record stuff and play it back if you missed part of it. That was kind of that was game changer for us. But anyways, yeah, I'm just walking down memory. DVRs were the best invention. Yeah. We actually, so the first time I ever did anything in Linux was a TiVo box that my boss had. He brought it in, and he goes, Scott, we're going to hack some Linux. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. So we got in there, and we figured out how to put an FTP server on it so that anything that he TiVo'd, we could pull off of there with FTP. That would have been like 2000, that was probably early 2004 we did that. So that was about the time I first started messing around with Linux. Yeah, actually, that setup, if you guys go ever look up GPL version 2, why it got beat, the GNU Public License 2 actually got beat in court, and that's why we have GPL version 3. But the GPL version 2 right here was challenged by them, because what happened was everything TiVo was under the hood Linux, right? But then they told people you can't modify it, and they didn't push the source code forward with it for you to be able to modify it, which is exactly the condition under which they got it licensed to them, right? So if you guys know open source licenses say when you get this license, you're getting it free, not free like beer, free like use. But as you pass it forward, as you give it to anybody, you must then keep the original license with it. And they took that away. If you guys don't know, TiVo said, you can't fuck with our stuff. That's our stuff. And the open source community was like, no, it's our stuff. You're using it. And it set up this whole big fight. And TiVo won it in court. I don't know how they won it in court, but that's why GPL version 2 had to be rewritten to GPL version 3. Is this was defeated in court. If you guys didn't know that. Yeah, by TiVo. Yeah. Because of stuff that, like, what me and my boss did, which I think is hilarious. Not us specifically. I'm just saying people in general were hacking, in air quotes, their software, in air quotes, and they were mad. Yeah, and then they had the money to back it up, and they beat GPL version 2. And they took an open source product and did not push forward the open source code with it and the license with it. So it's an interesting thing that anybody would have backed that, because it's clearly the whole intent of why anybody was given the license, why you were given the ability to use that software. But yeah, TiVo won that. If you guys want to go look that up, that's an interesting thing. And that's why we have GPL version 3, because GPL version 2 was defeated. I don't know how GPL version 1 was defeated, but I assume it was as well. But I know how 2 was, and that was by TiVo. So, because I was in the industry, I was working with it at the time, specifically taking over their boxes for fun. But anyways, so We'll let this thing spin. What's going on here? Hold on. Let me make sure I don't have any new stuff there. I'm gonna make an all ProLUG collection too. We have do all the Linux, and Linux is the way, but I'm gonna make a ProLUG collection soon too. So for people that are going to conferences, we'll have bounties too. If somebody's wearing our gear at like a conference, or if you catch me at like scale, or if you catch Robodom. By the way, if you ever catch Robodom at a conference and get a picture, that's worth something to us. I think somebody sent me one too. Somebody had a picture of him this year. Who caught you, Robodom? I know you're here still. Who caught you this year? Somebody had a picture with you and they sent it to me. Who was it? Was it Control Byte? No, it wasn't. I don't think it was Control Byte. I think it was. Was it Control Byte? Yeah. Somebody caught you. I remember that. But yeah, if you guys ever catch Robodom out in the wild, especially wearing gear, that'll be worth something. That'll be worth like a humble bundle or something. I'll definitely make that worth your while if you ever catch him. He's going to local tech events. Nice. Yeah, we're going out. We're going out in force next year, guys. We'll put it on the Discord. Like everybody get out to scale next year, and we'll do that. That'll be fun. I think scale's always a good event. I haven't been out there yet, but I've seen it, and I've seen enough people go out there that love it. So we're gonna have to get that working. King Conte, hopefully this stuff's useful to you. Thanks for the follow. If I missed any follows, I apologize. Robodom is a human, yeah. Mostly, he's mostly a human. Colcus, you're gonna make it out to All Things Open in Raleigh. Never been to a tech conferences are fun, man. I need to make a bag for ProLUG. So over here, like, there's this little interface where I can make things, but I gotta do the art myself. So I gotta like make the art myself. But I'm gonna make like a ProLUG because I can make a bag, and if you're out walking around getting swag, stuff we all get from all the vendors, might as well have a ProLUG bag. So I'll do that, and maybe I'll make some kind of because I can put in what are those called, like promotions, and then maybe like I'll do a promotion for people going to events or something so that they can get them for cost basically. That would be cool, I think. Yeah, like a little tote bag. Yeah Colcus, I need to I need to get better at using GIMP because I'm terrible at GIMP, and I know that there's other softwares out there. I'm probably gonna, like, the next time a Humble Bundle comes up. So I don't know if you guys ever use Humble Bundle, but Humble Bundle has. Oh, I don't want to go to checkout. Let's just go back here to bundles. Sometimes they'll have art bundles in their software. So sometimes I need to get some of that stuff. What they got going right now? They got some GUI stuff and learn Python, and they always have good stuff up. But when they have like another software for something like that, I might pick it up. But I don't like learning a bunch of different softwares, right? I like to just use one. So we got a little developer code along. What is this? That's kind of cool for people that are maybe looking for more projects. That's all like project-based stuff. That's kind of cool. And it's by Pact. They're not bad. Or Packet. I don't know exactly how to say that, but kind of they have books. They have Wheel of Time up right now. I saw that. I have most of the Wheel of Time books though, but some cert prep stuff for people getting ready for their certs. Yeah, there's a good amount of stuff. Ah, they got all the Vampire Hunter D. That might be cool because a lot of times you just get them as the PDFs, but they're still good. I bought all the Attack on Titan stuff years ago, and that's why I never finished watching the last 2 seasons of Attack on Titan because I read all the manga. So, all right. Anyways, what else are we working on? Yeah, we got our Stigs. I can keep cleaning this up a little bit, and that's kind of what I'm gonna finish out here doing. You use Hubris Bundle? Is that a real thing? Also, apparently I broke my hold on, turn that back on. All right, put this up. Put that back up. Okay, there we go. Not real. Okay, okay. I was gonna say hubris bundle. That's actually really funny. Hayes, I didn't like the twist, and I don't think I actually stuck with it all the way to the end after the twist. But my problem with Attack on Titan actually stems from a different. I actually, there's another thing that kind of made me a little mad about it. I started watching the anime when it first came out in 2013, and then it was wildly popular, guys. Wildly popular. It was so popular that they had like a Universal Studios section in like Japan. Like it was wildly popular, and it still took them like 5 years to go to season 2, and everybody was like, what the hell?" Like, and I heard there was some drama with the studio, and some people were sleeping with some people's wives and some weird stuff like that, and there's all kinds of rumors out there. But either way, it's like, man, get the next version of the show out. It's wildly popular. But they literally took, if you guys go back and look it up if you want, it took a long time between season 1 and 2. And then I want to say from 2 to 3 took a while too. So that's why I read the manga and then I never went back. Yeah, Kolkus, I've never went back and binged it. I would probably thoroughly enjoy it. They did a live action that wasn't super popular. And there's a little bit of a problem with what they did in the live action as well, for people that are like, if you're like, oh, I want to be a purist to the original. Now, I'm not one of those guys, but I mean, if there's a major story plot that you're going to change, I do think that that's a big problem. Like, if you're going to be like, well, this is the Wheel of Time, but there's no Randall Thor, I'd be like, well, what? Like, we're talking like, or hey, we're gonna do some stuff in the Underdark, but there will be no Drizzt Do'Urden, and then we'd be like, well, what the? That's really funny what it thinks I said. But anyways, yeah, like it's gonna be Salvatore, but there's gonna be no Wolfgar in it. Like, you'd be like, what the hell? Yeah, I thought season 1 was great. Yeah, Kolkus, so can I tell you a funny story about that, Kolkus? So R.A. Salvatore, a favorite author of mine from my youth, and you know, even in the army, I remember I read the first 19 of his series. You know, it started out with Icewind Dale, and then it went to so Drizzt was a minor character that kind of grew up in Icewind Dale in the story. And then he had the Tales of the Underdark, which were some of the stuff. And I read like 19 of his books, right? Like, I loved it. Then I didn't read any of them probably from the early 2000s, and I went off and did some stuff. And I remember probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, oh, I'm gonna go see how many more I have to do. Like, I think I made it to like Sea of Swords or Path of Daggers or something. And I go back and I'm like, how many of these books can there possibly be? And there's like 39 of them at the time. There's probably more now, but there was like 39 of them, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not picking these back up. I'm not picking these back up. Salvatore has been consistently putting out books. R.A. Salvatore is the author. He's been R.A. He's been doing that for so long that I just don't even. Sojourns, yeah, all those are great. He's got everybody's got problems. Like, all authors have some kind of problems. He's got a problem where he can't kill his main characters, right? Like you've got Caddy Bree and what's the priest's name? Caddy Bree is the monk, and then what is his name? Somebody knows. Kolkus, you might know. What's the name of the priest? Constantly getting younger because he, is super. And then my favorite 2 characters, though, by far in those books, if you ever do read them, are Jarlaxle and oh God, why can't I remember his name? The thief, the master assassin thief. Oh, what the hell? He's got the sword that like immediately corrupts like anybody he stabs with it. It's pretty bad. Just basically like melts them. What is it? It's Jarlaxle and oh, this is gonna piss me off. Artemis and Trary. Ah, loved Artemis. They were in many of his later books, Artemis Entreri and Jarlaxle, and them having to work together, where Jarlaxle is like this master assassin, but from the he's one of the Drow, and then Artemis Entreri is just a human, right? And yeah. Love those stories. Love those characters. Looks like people are fan arting them. Yeah, it's fun. Fun times. Good stories, fun stuff. I just don't have a lot of time for that anymore. I've been reading more of what's his name? Will White. Will White's books are pretty fun for me. Will, and it's Wight, not White. Yeah, that's better. His stuff is pretty good. I've been reading his Unsold series, and that's Unsould. Souled, I guess. Oh, that's funny. So, anyways, yeah, guys, I'm just gonna keep working on this stuff. I'll probably hop off here in a little bit, but Colcus, you've been reading more techie stuff. Philip K. Dick and William Gibson. Nice. No, that's good. That's always good to work on other stuff while I'm kind of I'm still mulling over some of the lab stuff in my head, and I'm actually kind of me and the wife were always joking around like, you caught me monologuing. I'm actually glad I'm kind of monologuing right now, because I just don't want to do the work. Like I know what I have to do right here. I just don't want to do it. Like I know what I have to do to clean this part up. I just don't want to do it. I have to go and change the stigs out for all the new stigs, and then get into, we won't filter by firewall, we'll filter by one of these other ones. So what's the other one we're going to do? SSSD, and then how many stigs do you see? And then I won't probably use that because it doesn't really matter. And then that. Okay, there we go. And then, yeah, so it's like I just don't want to do it. I got to do all this work, but I just don't want to do it. So now I'm just sitting here talking. So, Robodom, it's actually funny. I'll tell you a story sometime offline about Ready Player One. I can't. It's not for everybody, and it'll probably. I try not to talk politics or religion on stream, because those are the things that you'll turn people off for no reason. But I have a funny story about that from where I used to work, and the whole Ready Player One thing, and because like there's no reason to split people for things that have nothing to do with being good engineers, right? I would hate to see people leave the stream because they're like, oh, Scott believes that, or Scott doesn't believe that. I think those things are irrelevant. Plus, here's the thing: in the industry, you got to work with people anyways. So even if you don't like people, it's better to just be able to work with them. And for me, one of the big parts of that is just deal with what you deal with. It's like my dad used to say, you don't go to school to make friends. Like you just we won't do that. But anyways, the point is, in that story, Ready Player One, there's some funny things that are political, and then I'll tell you about them sometime, but not on stream. So. Yeah, we'll talk about it down in Discord sometime if you guys want, or I'll talk about it if you want in a non-recorded session. How's that? Because there's just funny things back when people were reading that because when did Ready Player One come out? Early 2000s, 2010s maybe, somewhere in there. Yeah, there were some funny things there. So yeah, no, I have fault. There was a situation that I got into with my coworkers, that they were like expecting me to behave a certain way about it, and I'm like, I don't care. Anyways, but I'll tell you guys about it sometime. All right, so we've got everything set up for the. I'm on not borrowed time, but I'm on. We're all set up in the Discord for this week, right? The ProLUG projects. You guys have discussion stuff that you can go start working on. Looks like people are still catching up last week's stuff, which is awesome. You can go in there and you can keep doing that. The beginners, if you're a beginner, you start here. This has all the information about what we're doing and all of the kind of things that I think are relevant. And then ProLUG projects is where you actually get in and do the course if you guys need any help with that stuff. Also, again, everything in the Discord's free, so just hang out. There's, the free courses running. There's a writer's room for people that want to learn about GitHub and how they're generating these books. Because maybe you like this book. Maybe you go, hey, that's a cool book. I would like to make my own little book on something that I'm good at. The guy, I don't make these books. The guys do. This is the community that built these. And if you want to know how to do it, they show you in the writer's room. They show you how to build this. This is a free thing. This is just generated online through GitHub. They go and they build everything in Markdown, and then they generate this book, right? And we'll be in week 3 this week. And then look, there's our recording from last time we did the course. These are the older dates, but they're still valid. And then all of the stuff that you're working on and learning for this week, which I should probably review a little of that, like what we're talking about for this week and stuff, because all that stuff's super, super valuable. Also, yeah, you can, if you say you're interested in something, it'll let you know when like it happens. So if I'm only interested in this one event, I can do that, or all the events in the series, and it'll ping me when it's time to go do stuff. So security course is being, yeah, Robodom, I've been recording them. I kind of just sucked it up and said, you know what, I'm going to do the best I can, and if we got to clean it up later, we will. But I didn't, originally I just thought, well, if the course isn't up to like what I want, then I shouldn't record it. But I figured, you know what, we're just going to make it the best we can, and we'll go. The main thing for you guys is just getting experience with this stuff. I just find like a lot of this stuff is just kind of pulling back the curtain, and you guys are like, that's all it is to secure this stuff? That's all people are doing? Yeah, that's what the industry's doing. We can do other things, and we can, build other things into it, but at the base level, we're locking systems down and then waiting, because, by the way, there's no, in the U.S. for sure, there's no stand your ground in the computer space. What I mean by that is, if somebody's attacking your system, and that's against the law, and they're trying to get in, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to reciprocate. I'm going to go try to get into their system. The second you do that in the U.S., it's illegal. You're breaking the law back. There's no self-defense in the computer space. And knowing that causes you to behave differently than maybe you would in your person or in your home, right? Like in your home, you're like, well, I can defend it. I can have a vicious guard dog like Ranger that will surely jump up and defend the home. Where is he? Oh, he'll surely jump up. Look at him. He's like a steel coil, right? Ready to spring. Look at that. Look at that old dog. No, I'm just kidding. But the point is, right? Like, yeah, he is a good guard dog. He's a deterrent. But we secure things, and then we just kind of hunker down, because there's not really any other thing we can do legally. We have to play defense. And you say, well, yeah, can't you have a red team, and can't you? Yeah, absolutely, you can do that against your own stuff. Yeah, sure. The second you turn any one of those things against somebody else, it's illegal. Right? Anything past reconnoiter is illegal. You can do anything that's you can scan people's networks you can scan their websites, all the stuff that's public. But once you start going and trying to like probe, philosophically, once you start trying to probe their stuff for actual vulnerabilities, you're technically, well, in the U.S. it's not technically, you're legally breaking the law, right? So, yeah. Someone broke into my house, stole my TV. They should be able to retaliate by breaking in their house and stealing their TV. Yeah, Hayes. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. But I'm just telling you, like, the things that you can do for like self-defense and stand your ground in the U.S. are not things that you can do in cybersecurity space. Yeah. Dog sleep, dog world. That's funny. So, anyways, the course is all ready. I have some more of the documentation stuff to put up. I'll turn them into PDFs and drop them here when they're ready. And then we'll be kind of good to go. So here's what we'll do. I will raid over somewhere on the Twitch side of things. I appreciate people coming by and hanging out. Let's go find somebody to raid on Twitch. Maybe you know who's on. You know who's on that's allowed. We'll go to a loud site. I like going to loud places. Here, we'll go raid over to Rossburger. Ross is probably yelling. There's probably some other stuff going on. But I appreciate you guys coming by. If you want, give them the do all the Linux stuff, because that's always fun when we raid over there. Expect it to get loud. Hopefully it doesn't blow anybody's ears out. But I will talk to you guys here in a few hours for people that are coming to the group. All right, take care.